Cup. My name is Akil Sherman. I've been a certified trainer over 20 years, and I am not the trainer that grew up flat stomach, small waist, in shape with a six pack. So let's get into it. Water fasting. Look, if you would have told me that I would be an advocate of water fasting 5 years ago, I would have looked at you like you were crazy, quite frankly. I had heard about water fasting for quite some time. Obviously, as a trainer, you hear about it, and then obviously some people practice that in their religion. But I never really considered water fasting as something that I would utilize personally. And when I tell you that it has been the single most effective thing that I've ever done in order to lose stubborn body fat, that would actually be an understatement. That may sound like really powerful rhetoric, but the fact of the matter is, so let's talk a little bit about my personal body type. I am an endomorph. And if you know anything about body types, endomorphs are the kind of folks where we can put the weight on very easily and have a difficult time taking it off. The other thing is that we also very prone to insulin resistance. And so for the folks out there who commonly, say diabetes runs in my family, that is usually a indicator that you have endomorph body types in your family. So why water fasting? Well, let's talk about what it is. Water fasting is essentially consuming nothing but water for a limited period of time. And so what happens, and particularly for fat loss, like I'm going to speak about this for fat loss exclusively, like there are spiritual reasons why people do it, but I'm going to talk about the fat loss benefits. Okay, so let's talk about what happens from 0 hours to 24 hours. The body will burn through the glycogen, which is basically sugar and carbohydrates. So the body's going to burn through that first. And then when we get to 24 hours to 48 hours, the liver will actually begin to produce ketones. And so that is what we commonly hear about in terms of ketosis. And so the body will then use the ketones as an energy source. Then once the body burns through the ketones, guess what it will burn after that? That's right, body fat. Because one thing we have to remember is that fat is simply just stored energy. That's literally all fat is. And so when you go without any, solid food and any calories for that long, the body is then forced to use fat as fuel. So if your goal is fat loss, you would like to get to at least 48 hours. 72 hours is the general consensus. I have personally gone further than that. In my first water fast I ever attempted, I did 7 days. And here's the thing, to be totally transparent, I had been doing intermittent fasting for 5 years up to that point. I began intermittent fasting in 2015. And so it was easier for me to go without food because I was already accustomed to going without. Let me say, at the beginning of this, I talked about water fasting being the most effective thing I've ever tried for losing body fat. You have to understand, okay, so I'm 43 years old as the making of this video. When I was 19, I rubbed on the fat burning cream. Then I took the slimming belt, which was this nylon and spandex band, really. They still sell it today. I think it's called by Proform, but you wrap it around, then I'm going to make sure that the Velcro is sticking properly. Then I'm going to take the trash bag, cut off the top, cut out the side. So now I got a space for my head and my arms. Let me pull the trash bag on over the band and the sweat cream, the fat burning cream. Then I'm going to put on my hoodie. Okay. I've already taken my fat burning supplements for the day, by the way. And now I'm going to head to the gym and I'm going to hit the weights, and then I'm going to hit the cardio for about 40 minutes. And I'm going to do that 3 to 4 times a week as I try to prepare myself to get ready for a spring break in South Beach, Miami. Look, that shit ain't work. It didn't work. There's a lot to unpack with all of that I tried, but the main thing is that is not how the body loses fat. Okay. And so when I tell you I've tried all the things, I've literally tried all the things. Even before I started doing intermittent fasting, I counted calories, I tracked my macros, I did carb cycling. None of that worked for me. So I will say, when I started intermittent fasting, I did begin to see some results. I began doing fasted cardio, like the whole shot. So pretty much everything that folks are still doing today, I tried that many years ago. Water fasting is the thing that worked hands down more effectively, because what it did, like I said, it forced the body to use fat as fuel. But here's the thing, guys. It's not all about what happens during that fasting period. So I'm not telling you that I'm not encouraging you to just fast endlessly. What I'm saying is, the way to maximize water fasting for fat loss is to incorporate it with some kind of consistency, depending on how much body fat you have to lose. But the most important thing is that it acted as an accelerator for the proper nutrition that I was already doing and the exercising that I was already doing as well. So it was a booster to those things. So I know a lot of people out there have been exercising and eating right for a very long time, and you're not seeing the results that you're looking for, particularly if you're endomorph, because you have this history where you've likely put the weight on by eating starches like rice, corn, bread, pasta, potatoes, and wheat, and processed sugar and saturated fat and these unhealthy foods. And so now you've shifted in order to try to eat better and become more active, and the results are slow. Water fasting is an accelerator in that regard, because one thing about it, you also develop some level of insulin resistance by consuming those foods over a long period of time. By incorporating water fasting, when we go without any food, we don't trigger any insulin responses. And so when we break our fast, depending on how we break our fast, we can then train the body based on the nutrition that we consume. And what I mean is, we can train how the body will respond to insulin, because we don't want to consume items that are going to continuously spike our blood sugar. See, that's what happens when we're eating the rice, corn, bread, pasta, potatoes, and the processed sugar, and even the wheat, because the gluten, we're spiking our glucose, and we're creating spikes in our insulin by raising our glucose levels. And when we spike our insulin, it tells the body to create new fat cells, and that's how we gain weight. So we can leverage water fasting as a way to get those insulin levels down. Then when we come out of the water fast properly, we can retrain the body how to store sugar, particularly when we're eating like natural sugar, like when you're eating fruit and better sources like complex carbohydrates like sweet potatoes or quinoa, things like that. The body will then store those sugars into the muscles where they're supposed to go. And then you go exercise, the body will use those. And if you exercise with intensity, eventually the body will use fat as fuel. So therefore, you'll be eating in a way where you're not creating new fat cells. And then you're exercising with intensity to force the body to use fat as fuel. And so when you put all that together, you will notice that first of all, your set weight point, like if you're in the 300s, okay? Because I work with clients who, have been in the 300s or in the high 200s for quite some time, and they're trying to knock off 50, 60, 70 pounds, but they probably they found themselves only losing like those same 5 to 10 pounds. Because of the insulin resistance, right? So what I'm saying is the water fasting helps reset that. And so what I do is I work with my clients and I show them how to incorporate the water fasting along with the nutrition, as well as creating workout programs that are structured for fat loss. And we just put all that together, and then I help them stay accountable and I remind them to stay on point. And as we go down the path, they continue to see the fat come off. And it happens gradually, but it happens, and it's permanent fat loss. So that is how you maximize, the water fasting for fat loss, by incorporating it with some kind of consistency. But again, it's not all about what happens during the fast. It's also about how you break the fast and the exercise intensity that you engage in after the fast as well. But listen, because I know some people may watch this and are very skeptical. There is plenty of information out there that you can find on YouTube, as well as, the almighty Google, and you can do your own research. But I'm telling you, just from my personal experience, as well as what has worked for my clients, hands down, the most effective thing that I've experienced personally, as well as what my clients have told me and what I've seen through them, you know, in terms of their own results and progress as well. So obviously, you know, you have to decide if that is something that you can do, if you are healthy enough for it. Most people could do it. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not gonna like say, yeah, you should, everybody should do it. I'm not gonna say that. But if you're a relatively healthy individual, you could probably do it. Here's the other thing too. Most people, you know, a lot of people who are watching this right now, you've had a day where you know, it's maybe 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and for whatever reason, you looked up and said, man, I haven't eaten today. Well, I guess I should eat because I haven't eaten. But you're not really even hungry. Like if you just kept going, there was a high chance that you could have gone 24 hours and not even missed eating. So many people have 24 hours built in. You know, now I will say on that second day, one thing that happens is that you may feel a little out of sorts because the body is changing energy sources. So on the second day, that's when people kind of they feel like a little fatigue, maybe a little anxious, a little anxiety, you know, because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. But like I said, I show people, you know, how to go about water fasting. It's a little bit more to it. There's some things that you can actually consume during your water fast that will help. And that's what I incorporate with my clients, and it's been very, very effective. So, and I have created a program around that. It's fairly inexpensive, and I'll include that in the link below in the notes. But yeah. Whether you decide to try my program or just try it on your own, I highly recommend water fasting as the number one modality or solution, the number one solution for stubborn fat loss that I've ever experienced in my entire life. So I know that sounds pretty heavy, but it is. That's the truth. That's the truth for me as well as my clients. Okay. So thank you for watching. If you have any comments, I would, you know, please drop them below, any questions. But if you enjoyed what you heard, please like and subscribe to the channel. I look forward to sharing more of my knowledge and being here for you guys as a resource. All right. So thank you, and see you later. Take care.